The center cannot hold. The falcon cannot hear the falconer.
What the fuck are you talking about?
4 events are understood to have precipitated the fall of Rome. The first event was the Antonine Plague. From 165 to 180 AD, a smallpox plague swept across the Roman Empire, causing a prolonged and destructive epidemic that ended Rome's long period of demographic and economic expansion. Then came the crisis of the 3rd century. Climactic changes and foreign invaders brought a period of agricultural and political instability. Populist Roman leaders began bread and circus political campaigns, offering free grain and gladiator games to try and maintain public approval, by distracting the populace away from the core issues. Coupled with the rise of Christianity, the fixation on luxury and decadence, and the general moral decay, the social fabric of Rome was weakened. The third event was the division of the empire into eastern and western regions, and the subsequent fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD, paving the way for mass migration from the Eurasian steppe. And lastly came the late antique Little Ice Age, one of the worst environmental catastrophes in recorded history. Change to the climate from 536 to 600 AD led to extreme weather, crop failures, widespread famine, disease, migration, religious upheaval, and death.
We live in a time of technological and spiritual crisis.
Guy and I met 3 years ago at a tech conference in Lisbon. I was there as a journalist and he as a tech entrepreneur working in agriculture. We met because I was interviewing him for a story. On the day we met, we spoke about how we both wanted to leave behind corporate life, build a house somewhere in the mountains and live completely off the grid. 2 years went by and finally at the end of 2023 we began looking at farms and farmhouses in Italy. We found this convent in the mountainous part of northern Tuscany, and in November 2023 we put in an offer. And after finding an engineer and an apartment in the village below, we were able to finally start work on the house at the start of May 2024. Here is a recap of all that we've done in the last 5 weeks. Our initial efforts are focused on this house. Built in 1680, this house, which we always refer to as the farmhouse, was actually the rectory for the Father Confessor, who was not allowed to sleep within the walls of the convent with all the nuns. The house is 160 square meters and consists of 3 floors. The first thing we did was clear out everything from this space so you can see how we would design it. This is the first floor, which will become our living room / kitchen. Here we plan on creating one open space by tearing down the wall between this room and this room. This wall is not original to the rectory's layout, but was instead put up by the previous family, who divided the house up into numerous apartments. Then we go upstairs to the second floor. Here we intend to make 2 more bedrooms, 1 ensuite and 1 standalone guest toilet. From the things we found in the house, I'd say we kept around 1/3 for ourselves. 1/3 we gave away to a charity shop or a beneficenza, and the last 1/3 we just had to throw away or burn because it was decayed past the point of return. But not to worry, we kept all depictions of Madonna. In the second and third week of renovation, we removed all the plaster from the walls. This was a really tedious work, and we'll likely need to go over it all again before applying any new plaster. Breaking down the plaster revealed some massive cracks in the wall, which likely happened during the 1920 earthquake, which at the time hit 6.6 on the Richter magnitude scale. We also found an old window in the wall, which was likely filled in after the earthquake to fortify the walls of the house. Here we're planning to open another door to go from our kitchen to our vegetable garden. We'll probably be hiring professionals to seal the cracks and open the door, as well as take off the plaster from the ceiling because it's been up there for a while, and who knows what'll happen if you take it down. This is us deplastering the main living room space. Here's where I actually want to put the other fireplace, in this spot here. But we've been advised against it because people are saying that it's going to be really costly and difficult. But a girl can dream, who knows? On the other side of the room, here's where we found actually another door. This door we opened up so that it'll go from our living room to our library / loft space. Here we are deplastering more. But as you can see, now in our library loft space, we kind of have 2 doors next to each other going into the same room. And we're wondering if this is bad feng shui or not. And here we also had to remove this fireplace just because it wasn't working properly. As we head into our 4th week, we are still demolishing things. This week we moved the ceiling of the library to make way for a loft, which will be able to be used as another bedroom if we have more than 3 guests staying, highly likely as we both come from pretty big families. We were hoping to reuse the wood for the loft, but when we started work, we quickly realized that this wouldn't be possible.
Oh.
Well, the roof needs replacing.
Yeah.
The roof of this section of the house has been dripping water for quite some time, which has rotted through basically all of the wood. So that's why we kind of indiscriminately cut through the whole thing. And we plan to bring in brand new beams and wood when we redo the entire roof. Here we're planning on making a loft space. It'll be on the far side of the room where there's a taller ceiling height. We actually don't particularly love lofts because they often go unused, collecting dust and lowering the head height for half the room for no reason. But it's just such an easy way to fit another bedroom into the house, so that's why we decided to do it here. In the next few weeks, Guy and I will be able to do a lot more. We're currently waiting on our geometra to approve a list of things that we can and can't do ourselves. Once that's submitted and we submit what we want to do with the municipality, we can basically get started on the real heavy lifting work.